Okay, I'm going to try it with the Zoom and see how this works. Greetings, how are you? It's your buddy Mike's from livemyassoff.com. I wanted to share something that happened last night. So I was taking this business certificate class. The title of it was The ABCs of International Business. And it was a cool class, and for the most part it was filled with international business students or ones that were, or students that were here on a study abroad program. A bunch of them from Mexico, and some of them from Saudi Arabia. So it was cool. It was really good to talk to some new folks, and of course it was an opportunity for me to practice my Spanish. But to that point, so I was talking to about 5, 6 different girls mainly. There were some guys, but they were kind of checked out, which was kind of disappointing actually. The guys from here who were local, as well as the guys from Saudi Arabia, were totally focused, and that was like really cool. But the 1, 2, 3, there was probably like the one in front of me. He was pretty engaged, but pretty quiet. But like there were 2 or 3 other guys from Mexico, and they were just, you know, off somewhere else, and I'm like, why did you even bother coming, dude? Because see, here's the thing with this class is it's 6 weeks. You get a certificate for it, and you have to pay an additional, I think it was like $135, $145. And for the most part, that includes a small stipend for the guest speakers, pretty much, that come in. It was basically just like guest speakers who were the professors, meaning they were from outside the university, who came in, and then they provide dinner. So they were like, you know, sandwiches, or one time there was pasta, Mexican food one time. So it was good, you know, and then water and sodas and stuff. So anyway, so, you know, it's in addition, and I talked to this one guy from Saudi Arabia. He's already taken 20 units. He's going to graduate this May, but he's already taken 20 units, and he takes this class. And I'm telling you, man, those are the kind of students that I love interfacing with. As an example, one of the classes that I get to participate in as a facilitator, as a teacher, basically, is a undergraduate leadership development certificate program through the School of Business. And the students that are in that are high performers. And while this one, I'm not saying the students weren't high performers, but for this one, basically, you could just sign up and give your money. Whereas for the leadership class, you actually have to present submit an essay and say, you know, what you're going to get out of it, why you want to be in a leadership program, you know, what you bring to the table as a leader, because a lot of the times the students are in a leadership role. I would say probably about 40% of them are in a leadership role, like in a club, or in their sorority or fraternity, or a club on campus, like the marketing club or something like that, or student government. So they have a laboratory, basically. Once they learn what we teach them about leadership, they can actually go back, you know, the following Monday morning or at their next meeting, and sort of deploy some of the leadership techniques and styles and opportunities that we present to them. So in any case, point to that is that I love interfacing with those kind of students. I mean, these are the top, like, 5% of the students at the University of San Diego, and in the School of Business. And they're absolute rock stars. And again, the whole I'm taking 20 units this semester and I'm taking this class is not an uncommon statement from these kids, from these students, from these young adults, right? So anyway, to my point, so I'm talking to there's one girl who sat next to me. I'd seen her, you know, for 6 weeks, and so you see this kind of the same people. And I don't know about you, but like when I take classes, I just kind of like find a seat that I like, and then like every week after that, I just kind of sit in that seat, right? Because it's just easier. So anyway, so I was sitting next to this one girl, Evelyn, and so she was a little bit older, in the sense that she was older than, I mean, most of them are like juniors, seniors, that sort of thing. So 19, 20, maybe 21. She was 23, and at that age, that's kind of, she's a little older. But actually, it was interesting. She was visibly more mature. And her questions were more mature, and her processes and procedures that she would go through just as like regular logical thinking. It was a joy to watch. I mean, she was an absolute rock star. Anyway, so what her and her girlfriend, so I was talking with her, it was just her and I, we got there early, and so she was telling me stuff about like her family and what they do, what her dad does for a living. And she's like, so wait, did you have like a business in Mexico? I can't remember, you know. So I told her a little bit about it, yeah, and I said, yeah, and I've got this business that I'm doing in Southeast Asia with my girlfriend over there, and that's been, you know, just a non-stop learning experience. And then we started talking about the taxes in Mexico. Anyway, she said, so what's the business? I said, okay, well, it's online. And so I started asking her some questions. I'm like, oh, so like what website do you use in Mexico? What's the most popular online website, you know, to use in Mexico to buy stuff? She goes, well, I don't really buy stuff. Anyway, what it came down to was that they don't believe they can trust two things. They don't believe that the picture of the item on the website will be delivered to their house, will be genuine. So they don't believe it's like a real Nike shoes. They don't believe it's a real this, you know, that sort of thing. They don't believe that it's going to be the genuine article. And I've heard that in other countries too. I mean, I have friends from Thailand, and they would be like, oh no, I'm going to buy like, a great example. I love to buy these jeans, True Religion jeans, at this one outdoor market. It's a market, it's outdoors, but it's a huge tent over it. So basically, this time of year, it's a friggin' sauna in there. But anyway, so it's on Soy Bacau, and I believe it's like Tuesdays and Fridays in Pattaya. And anyway, so I love to buy True Religion jeans there because they're like, how much are they? Like $20, $30. And for the most part, True Religion jeans are north of 100. But my friends, they're like, oh no, I won't buy those because they don't believe that they're real. They don't believe that they're a genuine article. And that could be the case, I'm not sure. But that's sort of a common belief, and I didn't realize that it was something that occurred in Mexico, because I think to myself, okay, well, Mexico's so close to us, they're mildly similar in their buying habits and that sort of thing. And so she's telling me about, no, I don't really trust stuff online, or, you know, it's more for people that are rich, and I'm like, what does that mean? How do you define that? And she didn't really mean it so much that like they're wealthy, like they're millionaires. It was more like people with disposable income. And again, right, like when you're 20, I mean, you know, the classic starving student, right? You don't necessarily have disposable income. And she was very conscientious, so I'm sure she's, you know, she doesn't like take her money and go buy, you know, the latest iPhone or the latest iPhone case. But, oh, just at that point, though, she did mention, she's like, yeah, she goes, you know, I was going to buy this case for my phone and online, but she goes, I didn't really believe that it was going to be any good. So she's like, I'll just either wait till I get to the United States to buy it, or I'll wait till it comes to Mexico. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, oh, well, it'll come to Mexico like a year or two later. And I was like, really? So, I mean, again, this is an interesting experience, the lens with which she was looking at things. You know, and she was not poor. She was absolutely middle class, I would submit. And she's very well educated. Her freaking English was amazing. I'm like, holy, and she was so, this was awesome. So they're like, okay, get into groups, and we start talking. So there's one kid and a couple of people over, he starts talking in Spanish, and she's like, no, we need to talk English. And literally, I am the only guy in this whole group, the only person in this whole group that is not bilingual. And I was like, oh my God, that's very gracious of you. I said, but no, go for it. I said, it would be good for me to practice my Spanish. And so then, of course, they start talking with the speed with which you speak when you're in your native tongue. And so therefore I'm like, pluma, pen. And they're like, okay, this guy doesn't know shit. Like, he can't speak Spanish to save his life, which is basically true. Anyway, so that's an aside. But so she's telling me sort of the stuff about her behavior and the reasons why she doesn't buy stuff online. Her friend, and it was during a break, and so her friend says, hey, so you think I can buy this online? And she basically shows me a picture on her phone of these swimsuits that she wanted to buy. Because she's in San Diego, right? And they're going to be here through the summer. They're not just here for the semester. They're going to be here through the summer, and they get internships. So without a doubt, you know, they're going to go to the beach or whatever. So she's like, yeah, so I'm going to get this swimsuit. What do you think of this swimsuit? And it was easy for me to immediately look at it and say, oh, okay, well, I mean, that's a Shopify site. And I said, simply that means that they're basically, you know, outsourcing, or not outsourcing, they're buying that stuff from like AliExpress or Alibaba or whatever, and they're drop shipping it over here. Because she's like, oh yeah, it's much cheaper, but I have to wait like a week or two for it to get here. I'm like, no, trust me, that's simply because they're basically just taking your order and then placing it on behalf. And she's like, Alibaba. Anyway, so she didn't really understand what I was talking about, but I said, look, you know, but she didn't she was concerned. Same exact question. She's like, but can I trust it? Like, can I trust this product? So that's the first thing. And I said, oh my God, you asked me the same thing as your friend Evelyn did. And so that was just sort of interesting. But the second thing is they don't believe that it will show up. And so they do have, although after living in the United States for a little while, I mean, you soon realize that, like, people buy stuff online. And as part of that, they actually get it delivered and it shows up. So you have a lot of, you know, physical proof that what you order on Amazon will show up. And so she's like, yeah, but so she was concerned. She asked me, do you think it will show up? Do you think they'll actually ship it to me? And I said, well, look, if you're, you know, I said, well, if you really want to get like a decent bikini or a decent swimsuit or whatever, say go down to Mission Beach, go to Gone Bananas. They actually make pretty good ones. They're kind of expensive. Or you can get it at Victoria's Secrets over at Fashion Valley Mall. Physically go to a brick and mortar. I said, but if you want to order online, she goes, well, maybe Amazon. I said, yeah. I said, Amazon.com. I said, you'll absolutely get what you want. And I said, you know, if you have Prime, then you can order it that way, and then you get free shipping or whatever. And she's like, Prime? So, again, not a very common practice for her and her girlfriend to order things online. So that was sort of interesting, and so I think to myself, okay, so maybe that's why we're not having so much uptick on like laz.ph or zal.ph on Philippine fashion wear from the Philippines, because maybe they believe the same thing. The other thing I think that's slowing us down, which I've absolutely experienced, is that not everyone has a credit card. And so while you can do cash on delivery, they're just like, well, I don't have a credit card, so I'm not going to bother, and then they just move on to the next task. So what Gracie's been doing, she's actually been buying it for these people, and then they just pay her back. And so she uses her credit card and does it. And, you know, their credit card system over there isn't as mature as it is over here, meaning that while they are absolutely part of the Cirrus or whatever network, and I can use my Visa, and the Visa symbol over there is the same, you know, I can use it globally as an ATM card or as a Visa card. The downside is that you're not like earning any points. So, you know, she like gets to buy all this stuff for her girlfriends, and then they pay her, and the item arrives either at their house or at her place, then she gives it to them. But she's not really getting any sort of, you know, benefit from that, other than the fact that, you know, we're making sales on Philippine fashion wear. But anyway, it was just sort of interesting. So I think that's the sort of slow uptick from the other countries, is that there's not trust. And I've heard that from some other countries, like they don't, like Indonesia, I believe, is the same thing. They don't trust credit cards. They don't trust that you should use a credit card online. They don't believe that it's safe. And so, you know, and that's, what is that, how many people in Indonesia? It's like either a little bit more or a little bit less, but for the sake of argument, it's like 300 million people. It's basically the same as the U.S., 350. It may be more. I can't remember. But regardless, it's a huge market for online. And the other statistic that I heard, that I read like yesterday or 2 days ago, I couldn't believe it, 3% of the population in Southeast Asia is buying stuff online. And it's increasing by a minimum of 25% year over year. Some websites have seen 100 to 300% growth in the last year, since 2015, since 2016. So that's amazing. So I'm really excited about that. But it's like, how do you get over the sort of behavioral, emotional hurdle of trying to convince this person, no, if you order something online, it will be what you see it as being. It will be genuine, and it will show up. So I guess other than just sort of experiencing it, you know, the first time, and then saying, okay, I believe it. And she said, yeah, I mean, it'll show up in a few days. I said, look, you know, I don't know about the rest of the U.S., but I can tell you from a San Diego perspective, I mean, there's 2-hour free shipping now. Or not free shipping, there's 2-hour shipping now. And you can get that with your groceries. You can get it with some items too. You know, Amazon Fresh or, you know, 2 hours. That's just insane, right? So anyway, that's just my check-in for today on the different perspectives from different countries and different cultures. I absolutely love it. It was an honor to be in the same room with these students. And like I've always said to them, I said, look, You guys are at the age where you are so naive you think you're going to change the world, which means you will. And in fact, it's my expectation, so get busy. So anyway, that's Mike's just saying, I hope you're living the dream, and if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong, and you're not doing it with international students. Ciao.